Hello everyone, welcome to the Mercury Virtual. Hope you are doing good. In yesterday's class, we talked about chapter number 2nd, but prior to this, I have to give you a brief idea of the programming concept. That's why today's class is not your main module, but it is on basic programming concepts. The main reason is that there are so many concepts that are used in that book, that module. So before going to that module or before going to continue with that module, let's talk about some basic programming concepts today, because these concepts are required for that module, for that book. So if there is no programming concept in your mind, it is very difficult to cope up or understand the basic concepts. So let's start with some basic programming concepts. The main motto of dividing or for using these programming concepts, basic programming concept, is simply that these concepts are used in that module, that book. So for the student point of view, for the student safety, for student point of view, we will consider that it is very necessary to understand or to give you a brief overview of the programming concepts. That's why I'm using this chapter or this module only for today, that is only for one class, that is basic programming concepts. Right. And yes, from Monday onwards, we will continue with same chapter, that is chapter number 2. But for only today, that is only for today's class, let's talk about some basic programming concepts. So let's start with some basic programming concepts. The main objectives. This says after viewing this presentation, the learner will be able to, means after viewing this presentation or after reviewing the whole presentation, the learner, that is the attendees, will be able to answer following tasks. First of all, given a task, create the pseudocodes. There is a term pseudocode that is used in programming. So whenever I give the task, you are supposed to create the pseudocode. Then given the pseudocode, create a flowchart. There is another concept in programming, that is a flowchart. So whenever I give the pseudocode, you are supposed to create the flowchart. There are multiple processes like task, pseudocode, flowchart. Then define or describe these terms after viewing or after learning the PPTs. First one is what is a program, what is a compiler, compile, what is interpret, that is interpreter, what is looping, variable, function, syntax code, debugging, as well as the if then else code. So after viewing this presentation, you will be able to answer following questions. So these are the concepts, these are the topics that is available in this slide. So let's start with one by one. First one is what is a programming? This is the main question that clicks in your mind. First of all, what is a programming? That are the different concepts that are used in programming. But before that, let's talk about what is a programming. Programming is nothing but a series of instructions to a computer that can perform the task. I'm repeating again. Series of instructions that we have given to the computer to accomplish or to perform a given task. Suppose my requirement is that I have to print hello world 5 times. So this is the instruction that I have given to the computer to accomplish or to perform the task. Second point says these instructions must be written in a way the computer can understand. As I told you, computer only understands binary language. So instructions must be written in such a way or in a binary language so that computer can easily cope up or easily understand the concept instruction which you have given in the instructions. Then third point says programming languages are used to write programs. So programming languages are used to write programs that are used by or that are developed by the developer or programmer. So these are the 3 points that shows what is a programming. So programming is nothing but a series of instructions that we can give to the computer to perform or to accomplish a given task. Right. Then next point says once the code of a program has been written, as I told you, developer or programmer writes the code. So once the code has been written, it must be executed. Executed means run. Run means performing the operation. So after performing or after writing the code, it is a responsibility of the computer or the compiler or the multiple tools that are available in programming to be executed or to be run, so that that program which I have written gives the output. Next point says you may need to type the name of the program to start it. Obviously, in the same way which I told you in MS Word, there is file that is saved by the name. In the same way, we can give the program a name, or we can save the program with a name, or we can use a word like run and the name of the program in the old days anyway. Means if I want to execute the program, simply use or write run and then give the name of the program. Suppose I have created the program for addition of two numbers. Like I have to give the numbers like A that has a value 10, B that has a value 20. So it gives the output 30 with the help of the program. Suppose I have given the name addition. So whenever I want to execute the addition program, I have to write run and then the addition. That is the name of the program. Next point says some programming languages. There are so many programming languages, but some programming languages names are C, C++, Java, Python, Pascal. That requires the code to be compiled. Compilation means given in the brackets, translated to the binary one. As we are the human beings, we have to write in the English statement, but that must be converted into the binary number so that it can understand by the computer, and that translation is done by the compiler, that is known as compiler. This says some programming languages requires the code to be compiled before it can be started. Means there are so many programming languages like C, C++, Java that needs a compiler so that they are executed or they are converted into the binary, and we can start the work according to the binary number. Now last point says others like JavaScript are interpreted, meaning that each command is translated separately when the program is started. There is another concept in programming, that is JavaScript are interpreted. Programming languages in this point says compile. In the same way, there is another tool that is also used for translating the program into the binary. So other are using the interpreted, meaning that each command is translated separately when a program is started. So the main difference between compiler and interpreter is that compiler executes or translates the whole code, means the full code, into the binary values, into the binary numbers at the same time. Means whole code are executed, are translated at one time, while interpreters do the same task, translate into the binary form, but do line by line or program by program. In simple terms, we can say compiler compiles whole program at a time, interpreter compiles or interpreter converts into binary one line at a time. So this is the main difference. This is the main question which you are supposed to give the answer whenever I ask. What is the difference between compiler and interpreter? So the answer is clear. Compiler translate whole program, interpreter translate line by line. Next point says set of commands. Till now we have covered what is programming. Now what is a programming language? This says programming language is a set of commands that a computer has been taught to understand. There are so many commands which is given by the programmer. So languages, whenever we use programming languages, that contains a set of commands that a computer has been taught to understand. Second point says languages that looks like machine code. For example, 8218, JSR R5 and so on are used for writing the programs, writing the application programs like Excel. Means whatever application I am using like games, Excel, Word, they have been written in some programming languages. But we don't know the programming languages because we are the user. We need only the interface, only the application. But behind that application, there are so many codes There are so many programming languages that are used for writing or for developing the application program or games like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, any type of application, payroll software, PowerPoint, any type of software. Last point says other programs looks like English, that is known as high level languages. Example, print hello, that are used for logo, JavaScript and many more. So programming language is nothing but a set of commands that a computer can understand, and we can use these languages for writing the program, for creating the logos, for adding the JavaScript, for writing the application programs and games. Next is, what does programming look like? Till now we covered what is, now what does programming look like? Here are some examples of an instruction to print the word hi. This is the word which we have to print. If I am using logo, then I have to use PRHI. If I am using JavaScript, then I have to use li hi. These are the multiple syntax that is available for different programming languages. If I am using Fortran, then I have to write print and then double quote start, hi, double quotes close. If I have to write basic, then print hi. If I have to write COBOL, display hi. C++, printf hi. Pascal, write ln hi. In the same way, we can use the assembly language xprnt print message1 dc hi. These are the multiple examples how we are able to print the word hi. Then next point says, what do you write a program, or how do you write a program? It decides what tasks are needed to complete the task, or what steps are needed to complete the task. Means first of all decide how many steps or what are the steps that are required to complete that task. Then write the steps in pseudocodes. I have told you already there are few concepts in programming. First of all pseudocodes, then flowchart, then algorithm, and then a program. So this says first of all decide the steps, then write the steps in either pseudocode or in either flowchart. Then next point, translate into the programming language, then execute or try out the program and debug it. Debug means find out the error from the program. So these are the concepts how we can write the program. Now let's start with basic concepts or main concepts of the programming. What is pseudocode? Till now we discussed what is programming language, how we can write the program. Now the main topic is what is a pseudocode. This is nothing but a list of steps written in English. Suppose I have to add two numbers. So I have written, first of all take two numbers, that is A and B. Second point, I will write add the two numbers. Then third point is print the result. Last point is stop. So these are the basic steps that is known as pseudocode. Means whenever I have to write the steps in English languages, that forms a pseudocode, or that is known as pseudocode. Here P is skyline, so it is pronounced as pseudocode. Next point says like the instruction for a recipe. Next must be in a right sequence. This is not I have to print the value first before adding the value. No, it is not possible. Please maintain the sequence in pseudocode. Means first of all they take the values, then add the value, and then you print the values or print the result. This says imagine saying bake the cake and then mix it up. Bake the cake means cake the bake? No, it is not possible. Bake the cake means creating the cake. This is the sample pseudocode. The task is add two numbers, which I told you right now. Add two numbers. First of all, the first line is I have to write start. Then second line is get the two numbers. Get the two numbers for adding the two numbers. Next point is add them, then print the answer, and then end. It starts with start. These are the few steps. First of all get the numbers, add these two numbers, and then print the answer. At last end the pseudocode. So this is how we can write the pseudocode. Now, next concept is flowchart. The same instructions, the same output means the 5 points are to represented with the help of flowchart. Means the pseudocode are written in English statement while the flowchart are represented by symbols. But the concept is same, the logic is same, only the representation is different. This is what does a flowchart looks like. This says what does a flowchart look like. This says the pseudocode from the previous slide would look like this as a flowchart. Means the same, this pseudocode looks like this in a flowchart. First of all start, then get the two numbers. These are the multiple shapes. You have to use these shapes only. These are the mandatory shapes, or these are the predefined shapes that you can use for writing the flowcharts. Get two numbers, add them like this one, get two numbers, add them, print answer, and then end. The English statements are same, but the symbols are different in flowchart. First of all start, get two numbers, that is input, add them, that is your processing, print the answer, and then give the result. This is the result, and then end the process. These are the multiple symbols that we can use in flowchart. First of all, if I have to use the start and end, use the oval shape. So this is the oval shape, start and end. If I have to give some input and print some output, I have to use this box. This is known as parallelogram. This is known as parallelogram. So if I have to take the input, I have to use the parallelogram. If I have to print the output, that is also done by the parallelogram. Then next is processing. If you want to process like addition, subtraction, means if you want to perform some operation, that is represented by a rectangle. This is a rectangle box. So this is a processing, add the two numbers. So this is a processing box or rectangle box. Then if I have to take some decisions, suppose I have to take decisions whether a person is eligible for voting or not. So my decision is that if a person age is greater than or equals to 18, so he or she must be eligible for voting, otherwise not. So this decision is taken by the flowcharts. So these are the symbols. This said, what are those funny symbols? These are the funny symbols. That's why these are known as funny symbols. So first of all, start or end, used at the beginning and end of each flowchart. As I told you, these are used for beginning as well as for ending of the flowchart. Input and output. Suppose I have to take the input, get the three numbers, I have to print the output. Suppose I have to print the output, that is Z value. So these input and output are shown with the help of this box that is known as parallelogram. This shows when information data comes into a program or is printed out. Comes into the program means takes the input, or is printed out means give the output. Then there is a process that are used to show calculations. Suppose I have to give some, or I have to calculate addition. So these are used to show the calculations, storing of data, and other processes that takes place within a program. Means whatever processing you want to do, that is done by this box, that is rectangle box. Then there is a decision box. This is a decision box. This is a diamond shape box, used to show that the program must decide whether something means usually a comparison between numbers is true or false. If it is a true, it can be represented by another line. If it false, that is no, or true or false or yes or no, so it is represented by different line. So if x has a value that is greater than 7, if this is correct, then print another value by using the rectangle. If it it is wrong, then print another value with the help of rectangle, because rectangle are used for showing the output. So I am using rectangle for displaying the output. I am repeating again, this is the decision box that is used for deciding whether a program performs the intended task or not. So the decision is taken by or denoted by a diamond box. This is known as diamond box or decision box. So this example says this is used for calculation or this is used for processing. This says if x value has a greater than 7, means if x has a value 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, then go to this line and print the value that is given in rectangle over here, and if it is no, then print the value that is given in rectangle over here. So means if the condition is true, print that value, y. If condition is false, then print this value that is under n. This is another example, another sample calculating the age. Now this is the condition. This is denoted by the decision box in flowchart. First of all, creating the pseudocodes. So first point is start, then get year born. So I have to calculate the age. So first of all, starting with the start, then get the year born, means the born year, then calculate the age. Print the age. So after getting the born year, I have to calculate the age and then print the age. Now taking the decision. If age is greater than 50, means if a person's age is greater than 50, not equals to, only greater than 50, like 51, 52, 53 and so on, but not less than 50 or not equals to 50, then print as old, means there is a old person, and then end. I am repeating again, this is an example to find out the age of a person, and if the person age is greater than 50, then the person is old, otherwise person is young. But there is no otherwise use, so only use the person is old. Now this is the pseudocode. I have to given these statements in sequence or in line, but this can also be represented with the help of flowcharts. This is how we can use the flowchart. First of all, it says start. This is start. If I have to give get the year, that is taking the input, so that is represented by parallelogram. Then calculate the age, that is denoted by processing, that is denoted by rectangle. So calculate the age, then print the age, that is denoted by parallelogram, because this is the output. Now there is a part of decision. If person's age, that is age, is greater than 50, if it is 50, then if yes, then print the old. If I have to print, I have to use the same box, that is a parallelogram. And there is no condition, so if it is no, then end the process. If it is yes, first of all print the old and then end the process. Now, there are two parts. If it is yes, first of all print old and then end the process. And if it is no, there is no way of printing or there is no line for printing, so simply end the process. This is how we can represent with the help of pseudocode as well as the flowcharts. Now comes with a program. What is a program? Program is nothing but a series of instructions. Till now we discussed few topics of programming like pseudocode, flowchart. Now another one is, now what are the elements of a program? This says all programming languages have certain features in common. For example, variables, commands, syntax, the way commands are structured, loop, decisions, functions. So these are the multiple concepts that is used in programming. First one is your variables. We can use the variables. Like in the previous example in flowchart, I used age, that is known as variable. Means a variable is something in which we can store the data, we can store the values, and that value vary. That's why it is known as variable. And that value varies throughout the program. Suppose I have to decrease the value, it is decreasing or it is decreased very easily. So that is known as variables. Then next element is commands or syntax. We require multiple commands or multiple syntax for creating or for writing the program. That is one of the element of a program. Then next element is looping. How we can use the loop. Then next element is decisions. How we can take the decision. Like in previous slide, I've shown you the decision that is based on the age. In the same way, we can use or we can search for the symbols that is used for decisions. Then next element is functions. We can use the functions for writing small code. Suppose I have to write the code for addition. So this is a very small code. So these are very small codes are known as functions. Or in simple terms, functions are blocks of the program. So whenever we divide program into multiple chunks, into multiple parts, that is known as functions. Then next point says each programming language has a different set of rules about these features. Means it depends on the programming languages to programming languages, like it depends on C, C++, Java, that we have to use which rule at what time with different features. Now let's start with these elements. First of all, variables. This says variables are part of almost every program. Means variables are a part of every program, whether it may be written in C, C++, Java, in any programming language. This is a part of almost every program. Then next point says a variable is a place to put data. As I told you, these are used to store the data. This is a place, or variable is a place to put the data, and usually represented by a letter or word. Means whenever I have to give the variable name, that is represented by either character or a word. Think of a variable as Tupperware container with a label on it. Next point says variable names cannot contain spaces. Suppose I want that my variable name is hello world, but that is not possible because in programming variable name cannot contain the spaces, but it may contain underscore, any symbol, but it does not contain or it cannot contain the spaces within the variable name. Next point says some programming languages have very specific limits on variable names. Means there are so many programming languages that have a specific limits. Means first of all, the limit is that it contains only 0 to 255 characters. Means there are not more than 255 characters in variable name. These are the multiple features, or these are the multiple parts that we can keep in mind while using the variables. Next continue is usually there are several ways to put information into variables. Means as I told you, variables are used to put the data. So there are so many ways, there are multiple ways how we can put the information to a variable. Next point says the most common way is to use the equal sign or equals to sign. So the most common way or the most prominent way for storing the data is use the equal sign. For example, next line says x equals to y plus 10. Means x is a variable that stores the value y after adding the 7. So if y have a value 20 and if I add 7 to y, that is 27, 20 plus 7, 27. So the output is 27. I'm repeating again. X is a variable that stores y plus 7. If y has a value 20 and there is a 7, so the output is 27, and that is stored in a variable that is known as x. This means take the value of y that is given by the user, add the 7 and put into the x. Another example is count equals to count plus 2. Means take the current value of count, add 2 to it and made it the new value of count. Suppose I have to count or I have to add the 2 to the count variable. So take the one variable that is count. So count takes the current value and then adds the 2. So whenever you have to print or whenever you will print next time count. So this gives the current value of count as well as the addition of 2. Suppose the current value of count is 2. So this is 2 plus 2, 4. So the new value of count is 4. So now if I print or if I write count, so this gives the value 4 because count has a value 2 already, but now count is added to the 2. So now the new value of count is 4. So the new value is printed as a 4. This is how we can store into the variable by using the equals to sign. Next is sometimes you must specify the type of data that will be placed in a variable. As I told you in chapter number 2 of your module, there are so many data types. In the same way, we can specify the data types. We can specify the data type before storing the data into the variables. Here are some examples of data types. Here are some examples of data types like numeric, string, integer, long, boolean. So these are the multiple data types that we are using while storing the value into the variables. Next is variables may be classified as global or local. So variable are of two types. One is local, another one is global. A global variable is one that can be shared by all parts of a program. Suppose I am writing the program. If I am declaring the variable as global, so it must be shared or it must be used by whole program, by any part of the program or by all parts of a program, including any functions, subprogram or anything. But a local variable is one that is used only within a certain part of the program, means a specific block of a program. So this is the main difference. I am repeating again, if I am using the global variable, that can be accessed by whole program, by every part of the program. And if I am using local variables, or if I am declaring local variable, so these are used only in a specified block or in a certain part of a program. For example, only in one function or subprogram. Suppose I have to use only variable name in only one function, then I have to use the local variable. And if I am using the same variable in whole program, that is known as that is denoted by the global variable. Now next part is syntax. First of all, we have covered variable. Now next is syntax or commands. This is programming languages are truly languages. These are the syntaxes. They have rules about grammar, spelling, punctuations, etc. Means there are some predefined rules about the grammar, about the spelling, about the punctuation mark. Then next one says you need to learn the rules of a programming languages just as you learn to speak and write English. Means you have to mug up the syntax, you have to mug up the rules of a programming languages. Suppose in C we are using printf for printing the output. In the same way, in C++ we use cout for writing for printing the output. So every programming languages have a different commands, different syntax that you are supposed to mug up or use according to the rules of the programming. Next part is next element of programming languages is your loops. A loop is nothing but a repetitive task of all or part of the commands in a program. This is one of the important part of a program, looping. Looping means repetition. Suppose I have to print the values 1 to 10 in a same go. So I have to use the looping for giving the repetition of a program. Suppose I have to print the same values 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 10 times. So this is done by using the looping concept. So looping is nothing but a repetitive task in a program. I will told you the looping in the next slide or in the later slide what is looping, what are the types of looping. Next is a loop often has a counter. Counter means a variable and continues to repeat a specified number of times. Suppose I specify that it must be repeated 10 times. So it is repeated only 10 times. Then next is a loop may also continue until a certain condition is met. Means I have to given the condition. If condition is false, then automatically loop terminate or loop finish. Suppose I want to print 10 times if a condition is that x is greater than 5 and my values are 6, 7, 4, 3, 2, 1. So if x is 6, 7, it must be using or it must be continued with loop, and if it is 4, 3, 2, 1, then it will be discarded or removed or not used in the loop. Then next element is your decision. This says you show a flowchart symbol for decisions. Means we are using the decisions like if else conditions. Suppose I am using if x is greater than 7 in the last example. Then if yes, print another word. If no, print another word. In the same way, if person's age is greater than or equal to 18. If yes, then he or she is eligible for voting. Otherwise, if no, he or she is not eligible for voting. So this says you show a flowchart symbol for decisions. A program often needs to decide whether something is true or false in order to see which way to continue. So program has to decide whether it is necessary or whether this condition is true or false, and based on the true or false conditions, we will continue with the program. Programs often use means mostly program use if else or if then else statement to show a decision. This is which I told you in the later slides. An if statement always has a condition to check, often a comparison between variable and number. For example, if x is greater than 7, then print this value else. Else means otherwise, print another value. I am repeating again. If x is greater than 7, this is a condition x is greater than 7. Then print first statement, and else means otherwise, print another statement. The if statement also must specify what to do if the condition is true. These conditions, these instructions for true may come after the word then and then, or they may simply be listed. The if then statement, when the condition is false, the program simply ignores the then command and continue to the next line. As I told you, if the condition is true, then print the first statement that is given after the then, and if condition is false, use the condition that is given after the else part. This says if then else statement commands are given for both the true and false condition. So this is the decisions that is used by the if then else part. In the same way, next element is your functions. As I told you, these are the small chunks of a program. This says in most programming languages, small subprograms. As I told you, chunks means subprograms are used to perform some of the tasks. These are known as the functions, subroutine, handlers, or other such terms. Means the function may also be known as the subroutine, handlers, or another term. Function often have a name. Example: get name, calculate text, that is calc text. Next point says a function generally gets information from the main program. Obviously, it is a part of the program, so it gets the information from the main program, performs some task, and returns information back to the program. Means if I want to add the numbers, two numbers, I have created the number function, so it must take two numbers input from the main program and then give the result also to the main program. Function follows the same rules of syntax etc as the main program, because that is the main sub program of the main program. So all the rules regulation is also applicable for the function. Next is JavaScript code is primarily made of series of functions. There is a code that is known as JavaScript that uses the function for writing the code. Then next element is your repetition statements. This says repetition statements allows us to execute such statement multiple times. Often they are known as loops, as I told you. Like conditional statements, they are controlled by the Boolean expressions, which I told you in the last class, like and, or, not. These are the Boolean expressions. Java has three kinds of repetition statements: while loop, do loop, and for loop. Even Java, as well as other programming languages, C, C++, also uses these loops like while, do, for. This I will discuss in the next slides. Now, let's start with the looping. That is, first of all, while loop. While loop or while statement has a following syntax. First of all, while, then there is a curly brace, parenthesis. These are known as parentheses. Then there is a condition, then starts with parenthesis. These are known as curly braces, and this bracket is known as parenthesis. Curly brace start, then give the statement, then curly brace close. So this says if the condition is true. First point is, if a condition is true, then the statement is executed. Then the condition is evaluated again, and if it is still true, means in first time condition is true, statement is executed. But again, if the condition is evaluated again, and if it is still true, then statement is executed, or it is again executed. Next is, the statement is executed repetitively until the condition becomes false. Means the condition is used automatically or repetitively until or till when the condition is false. Suppose I have given while x is greater than 7, then print number 1. So number 1 will be printed 6 times because I have the condition x is greater than 7. So this must be printed 6 times. Why? Because less than 7, that is 6. So this is printed 6 times. After 7 or equal to 7, it is stopped because the condition is false. Then this is the logic of a while loop. Condition evaluated. If it is true, first statement is executed. If it is false, another statement is executed. And if it is true, then goes to again to the condition. If it is false, then end the process. This is the example. This takes int count equals to 1, means count has a value 1, int is a data type. Then using while, count is less than equals to 5, means if 1 is less than equals to 5, then print. This is used for print system.out.println count. Print the value of count and count plus plus, means increment the count after each iteration. Iteration means after each instruction that is executed or after each looping. So this gives the output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because 1 is less than 5, condition is true, print the count value, that is 1, because first of all count has a value 1. Then count plus plus, now the value of count is 2. This says 2 is less than equal to 5, now condition is again true, then printf next count that has a value 2. Next count plus plus, now the value is 3, goes to the condition, 3 is less than equal to 5. Yes, true, print the value 3. In the same way goes till 5. If it is 6, now if it is 6, 6 is less than equals to 5. No, this is false. Then this will terminate the loop and goes to the this statement. This means termination of loop. Means the output comes is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times. This says if the condition of our while loop is false initially, then the statement is never executed. Means if it is given count equals to 6, so this code never executes because first of all condition is false or condition is not true, then the statement is never executed. Therefore the body of a while loop executes 0 or more times. Next, while statement. This is a looping. A loop can be used to maintain a running scan. A sentinel value is a special input value that represents the end of the input. Save. Loop is used for input validation, making a program more robust. Then there is an infinite loop. Infinite loop means which are going continuing. The body of the while loop eventually must make the condition false. When the infinite loop comes, if the condition is false. If not, it is known as infinite loop, which will execute until the user interrupt the program. This is a common syntactical or semantical logical error. You should always double check the logic of a program to ensure that your loop will terminate normally. Means never use the or never write the code, that is debug codes, every time find the errors before executing the programs. This is the example of infinite loop. This says count equals to 1, count is less than equals to 25. System.printf.println count equals to count minus 1. Previous example, I have used count plus plus, but now count minus 1 means subtracting the 1 from the value. So this is the value 1. Now this is printed 1, but this next time count minus 1. So this will take 0. Now count as a value 0. So this will terminate, or this will execute the loop infinite times, means many times. The loop will continue executing until interrupted, that is control C. Means until the user uses the control C, that program never be stopped. Then is your nested loops, means loop within loop, that is known as nested loop. Similar to the nested if statement, loop can be nested as well. That is, the body of a loop contains another loop. Suppose I have to give I will give loop within the loop. That is known as nested loop. For each iteration of the outer loop, the inner loop iterates completely. Means for giving or for executing the outer loop, the main condition is that the inner loop must be terminated or must iterate or must execute properly. Even if the inner loop cannot execute it, so the outer loop cannot be executed. Your second course project involves a while loop instead for a for loop. This is your nested loop. This while is used inside the while. This is the outer loop, this is the outer while, and this is the inner while. So this is the example of the nested loop. Now next is your do while statement. But before this, let's take 5 to 10 minutes break and then continue with this statement with do while statement. So let's take 5 to 10 minutes break and then come back starting with do while statement. Now let's start with next statement, that is do while statement. As I told you, while statement only executes when the condition is false. If the condition, while statement only executes if the condition is true, and if the condition is false, then the statement will not be executed. The next one is do while statement. This says this is also known as do loop or do while loop, has the following syntax: do curly braces open statement, curly braces close, and then there is a while condition. But in while statement, the condition comes at the first, but in do while statement, condition comes at the end. So this is the main difference. Next line says the statement is executed once initially. This is the main point. Means the statement is executed once initially and the condition is evaluated. Because here, as you see, condition is checked after the statement. So whenever we are using do while statement, so first statement will execute it at least once, because the condition is checked after or at the end. So before going to the end, this statement will execute. So this loop or this statement will execute it once initially, and then the condition is evaluated. Means first of all, the one statement is executed and then the condition is checked. Then next point says the statement is executed repeatedly until the condition false. Means after executing one statement, the next statement will be executed as per the condition. If the condition is false, then the next statement will be executed. Otherwise, next statements are not executed. So this is the main difference. The main difference is that in while, first of all condition is checked and then statement will execute it. But in do while, before checking the condition, one statement is executed and then condition is checked, and then on the basis of that condition, whether other statements are executed or not, it is decided by condition. Next point, this is the most important point. While loop or the while statement is known as entry control loop because the condition is checked at the time of entry. So this is known as entry controlled, CONTROLLED. I am repeating again, CONTROLLED. So while is a entry control loop, while do while is a means do while is a exit control loop. Why? Because the condition is checked at the exit of the program. So this is again the main difference. I am repeating again. While is the entry control loop and do while is the exit control loop. This is a logic of a do while statement. This is the statement condition evaluated. If a condition is evaluated, then the statement is executed. Again, if it is false, then the program or the looping is closed and terminates the loop. This is the example of a do while loop. First of all, take the count as a value 0. This is int count equals to 0. Then there is a do loop, do while loop, do count plus plus system.out.println count. This is the syntax for Java, that is system.out.println for printing. In the same way, C has a syntax printf and C++ has a syntax cout. This is the Java syntax. This says first of all print the count value, then closing the braces, then condition will be checked. That is while count is less than 5. Count is less than 5. The body of a do while executes at least once. Means the count value, that is 0, is printed, or the 1 is printed at least once. Now there is a comparison between while and do while loop. This is the while loop, this is the do loop or do while loop. First of all condition is evaluated, then if it is true, statement is executed. Then again if the condition is true, next condition is checked, statement is executed, again go, same process going on until condition is false. If the condition is false, if the condition is false, then the loop will terminate or loop will terminate it. Next is do while loop. This is the do while loop. This is the statement. Means in do while loop, first of all, statement will execute it, and on the basis of statement, the condition will check. If the condition is true, then again go to the statement, else if it is false, then loop will terminate. So this is a comparison between while and do while loop. Next is your for statement. Till now we have covered while loop as well as the do while loop. Now the next part is your for statement. This is one of the important loop or the statement that we are using in any programming language. So for is the very basic or very important concept that we are using in any programming languages like C, C++, Java, Fortran, Basic, COBOL, and so on. This is a for statement has the following syntax. In the same way, while has a syntax, do while has a syntax, in the same way, for loop has a syntax. The main syntax is this one. For bracket open, that is initialization. So first one is initialization, then there is a semicolon, then condition, again semicolon, increment, or it may be decrement, anything. This is only mentioned increment, but it may also be decrement. Then curly braces open, give the statement, any one statement, and the curly braces close. I am repeating again, starting with the for, bracket open, first of all initialization, semicolon, condition, semicolon, increment or decrement, bracket close, curly braces start, statement, curly braces close. Now let's see different parts. Initialization. The initialization is executed once before the loop begins. initialization means, like in the previous example, I have written count equals to 1. That is known as initialization. In the same way, if I am using 4, so I have to write over here count equals to 1. Then next is your condition. The statement is executed until the condition becomes false. So next one is the statement is executed based on the condition. Suppose my condition is that x is less than 7 or x is greater than 7. So I have written over here, or I will write over here, x is less than or greater than 7. Then if I have to increment the count value, then I have to write over here count plus plus. And if it is decrement, then I have to write count minus minus. This says the increment portion is executed at the end of each iteration. So in for loop, there are three parts. One is initialization, condition, and then increment or decrement. This is the logic for loop. First of all, initialization, then condition evaluation. If the condition is true, then the first statement will execute it. If the condition is again true, next statement will execute it. Again check the condition. If the condition is true, the statements, there are so many statements, multiple statements are executed. But if the condition is false, then the statement will not execute and the loop will terminate. So it also depends on the condition that we have given in the for loop after the initialization. This is the example. No, this is a syntax. A for loop is functionally equivalent to the following while loop. Suppose in while, I have to give the initialization, then while condition, statement, increment, decrement. In the same way, we have given in only one line, that is initialization, condition, and increment or decrement. This is example. Same example, count equals to 1. We are supposed to give the data type over here. So this is int count equals to 1. That is, count has a value that is numeric value or a discrete value. Then count is less than equals to 5. Means it is printed till count has a value less than or equals to 5. This is int count equals to 1, count is less than equals to 5, then count plus plus. Then curly braces start, system.out.println count. So this will the initialization, this will be the condition, and this will be the increment or decrement, but this is only a increment. And then print the value count. So now count has a value 1, first time 1 will print it, then count plus plus 2, then condition will be checked, 2 is less than equals to 5, yes, condition is true, then print the value 2. Then again count plus plus, now the value is 3, go to the condition, condition is again true, print the value 3, now count is 4 because count plus plus, check the condition, condition is true, then again print the value 4, then the count value has a 5 because count plus plus, then 5 is less than or equals to 5. Now the condition is again true because it is equals to 5. Then print the 5. Now count has a value 6. Go to the condition. 6 is less than equals to 5. This is not correct. 6 is greater than equals or greater than 5. So this is not true. So that loop will terminate and the output is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how the for loop executes. Next line says the initialization section can be used to declare a variable. This is used to declare the variable. Like a for loop, the condition of a for loop is tested prior to executing the loop body. Means prior for execution, this will check the condition. Then therefore, body of a for loop will execute 0 or more times. So this is the body of the for loop that will execute either 0 times or more than 0 times. The increment section can perform any calculation. So this is the increment section or decrement section. This is num minus equals to 5. Means deducting the value 5 from the number that is 100 each time. Suppose first time the number is 100, next time number is 95. And the condition is print the values if the value is greater than 0. Next is a for loop is well suited for executing statements a specific number of times that can be calculated or determined in advance. So for loop is very best example for executing the statements in which we will know or we are supposed to know the calculation times or the number of times in advance, or it is determined by the user. So this is the best example, while the number of times a user knows in advance. Next is each statement in the header of a for loop is optional. Means every statement in the header of a for loop is optional. This is not mandatory that initialization is mandatory in the for loop, or condition is mandatory, or increment decrement is mandatory. No, each statement is optional. If the initialization is left out, no initialization is performed. Suppose I left out or I skipped the initialization part, so no initialization is performed. Next point says if the condition is left out or if condition is not given, it is always considered to the true. Means I have given only initialization, then semicolon, then either increment or decrement. Means I have not given the condition. So it is always considered to as true condition and therefore creates an infinite loop. We usually call this as a forever loop, that is an infinite loop. Then next point says if the increment is left out, no increment operation is performed. Means the first one is if the initialization is left out, the condition is left out. Now if the increment is left out, no increment operation is performed. Means the value is not incremented each time. Next, hints for writing the code. Next is your hints for writing the code. Code means writing the program in the appropriate language. So code is nothing but writing the program or written the program in an appropriate language like C, C++, Java, Pascal, Fortran, COBOL or any language. Be sure the code is exact, that is spelling capital, lowercase, punctuations, etc. Means make sure that the code is exact, the spelling or the syntax, lowercase, it must be in lowercase if it is in syntax. It must be in uppercase if it is in syntax. Means make sure that the code is exact. Then write part of the code, means you are supposed to write the code, try it and then write more. These are the hints for writing the code. Means uses the language, any programming language. Make sure that the syntax you are using is correct. Write the part of the code, try it and write more. Next is your debugging. Debugging is nothing but finding out the error from the program. This is one of the important tasks because as a human being we are supposed to create any error. So it is very important to debug the errors or debug the program, means finding the errors in the program. So this is one of the challenging tasks of the programmer, how to debug the program. This says to debug means to try a program then fix any mistakes. Means first of all try the program and then fixing the mistakes of the debugging. Then next is your virtually no program works the first time you run it. There are just too many places to make error. Means as I told you, we as a human being makes lots of mistakes. So it is no any program or no one program that works for the first time. Means it works perfectly for the first time. But for the first time it gives so many errors. So this is very mandatory to debug. Debug means to find out the error from the program. Next is when you are debugging a program, look for spelling and punctuations error. So these are most commonly typed error. That one is spelling error and punctuations errors. Spelling error means if there is a spelling mistake, punctuation means a symbol is missing or a mark is missing. Then fix one error at a time. This is one of the important lines. You are not supposed to fix each and every error at a same go. No, you have to fix one error at the same time. Then try the program again. Suppose I have only 5 errors. So first of all, if I correct one error, not going to the second error, but before going to the second error, first of all, execute the program after sorting out the first error. If there is also again a problem or still a problem, then use the second error, remove the second error, then again execute the program. If it is working properly or if the program is executing properly, then no issues, simple execute the program. But still, if the program is not executing, then again find the next error or debug the next error and find the solution. In the same way, debugging continues until the program executes properly. So this is the debugging concept. Now, there is a question answer sessions. First one, it says a computer program is dash. There are multiple options. So a computer program is a series of instructions or a TV show or a written in Egyptian hieroglyphs or can be written any ways you want. As I told you, computer program is a series of instructions to accomplish or to perform a task. So the output is, the answer is first. That is a series of instructions to accomplish something. Right. Next question is the flowchart symbol to perform a calculation. As I told you, there are so many symbols. Suppose I have to perform a calculation, then the symbol which I am using is a rectangle box. This is a decision box that is used for taking decisions. This is a start end box. This is used for input and output, that is parallelogram. This is oval, diamond, and this is a rectangle that is used for doing the processing or calculation. So the flowchart symbol that is used for calculation is rectangle, and this is rectangle. Next is here the flowchart to show a decision. Now the answer is this, or this. Now you tell me with the use of chat. Please text the answer, which is the best or which is the correct solution. Yeah, tell me which is the correct solution. This symbol, this symbol, this symbol, this symbol, which is used for decision. Yeah, correct, Nelda. Diamond box, that is this symbol, is used for taking the or showing the decisions. This is used for calculation purpose. This is used for showing the start and the end point. This is used for input and output. Then next is your the flowchart. The flowchart symbol to show a decision is, this is the answer. Diamond box, the same question. Now, next question is choose the correct flowchart symbol for each of these statements. Suppose this is one of the important questions. Suppose I have to calculate or I have to give the condition that is age is greater than 65. Then which is the flowchart symbol, correct flowchart symbol I am using? As this is a decision, so it is very obvious or very useful that this is used by using the diamond box. So this is used by diamond box. Then calculate text. Now this is the processing part, means for calculation purpose which symbol is used, that is your rectangle symbol. This is the answer for cal or calculate text, and this is the example for diamond. Then there is a start symbol. As I told you, oval is used for starting. So this is the next one. Now let's go. So this is used for this one. This is used for this one. This is used for this one. In the same way, if we want to print, means give any output, so this is used by parallelogram. These are the multiple options that is used in this. I think this is clear to you. Alright. This is the answer which is already given. Age is used for calculated by diamond box. Kelsey is used for this one. These are the arrows which is given for this one. This is the arrow that is rotating. Start is used for this one. Kelsey is used for this one in the same way. Next, a function in a program is no, Nelda, that is a misprinting basically. As you see, age is not a diamond. The age is a diamond, not a rectangle. This line is misprinting. This goes over here. This is a misprinting part. Alright. Next question is, a function in a program is something from trigonometry. Something from trigonometry like cosine. No, this is not a function. This is not a trigonometry or mathematics. Next, a subprogram usually performing one task. A way to check the accuracy of a program, that is a function check. So which is the correct answer? As I told you, a function is a subprogram. So the output or the correct answer is second one. A function is a subprogram usually perform one task at a time. This is not a trigonometric function like in mathematics. This is not a debugger that is used to check the functions. So the correct answer is the second one, that is a function is a subprogram that is used to perform one task at a time. Then next question is your variable. A variable in a program is a letter or word that represents a place to store the data or a decision made within the program, a small subprogram used to find the errors. Now let's start from bottom to top. This says a variable is a small subprogram. No, this is not a program. This answer is not correct. Next says a decision made within the program. No, that variable is not used for decision. Only the decision box is used for taking the decision. So the correct answer is that a letter or word. As I told you, a variable name start or variable name contain either letters or words. This is a letter or word that represents a place to store the data, that is used for inputting the data. Suppose I have to put some value to the variable. So I have given the variable name x, put the value 7 to the variable. So the correct answer is first one, that is a letter or word that represents a place to store data. Now this is the question which you have to try. No, the solution is given. Try to write pseudocode and create a flowchart for a program that calculates the average of 3 grades and print the average. Means you have to take the average of 3 grades and then print the average. The word good should be printed only if the average is more than 80. Means this is a pseudocode and this is a condition part. Means the word good can be printed or should be printed only if the output of the average is more than 80. If it is less than 80, then the good will not be printed. If it is more than 80, then only the word good will be printed. This is the pseudocode and this is the decision box or decision part. Now, the possible pseudocode. The possible pseudocode is, first of all, start, then take the 3 grades because I have to find the average of 3 grades. So, get the 3 grades, average them. Average means first of all adding up the 3 grades and then divide by the 3 because there are only 3 grades, so divide by the number, that is 3. For example, I have to take 3 grades, that is 10, 20, 30. So the output or the addition of these 3 grades is 20 plus 10, 30, 30 plus 30, 60, and if I have to divide by 3, 60 by 3 is 20. So find the average, that is 20, then print the average, that is printing the 20 value. Next line says, if the average is greater than 80, if yes, print the good, then end the process. So this is the pseudocode for average of 3 grades. Next one is your flowchart. Next one is where this is your flow chart. This is a possible flow chart. First of all, start, get the 3 gates with the use of parallelogram, average them. This is the average, calculate the average, then print the average. And if this is the condition, if average is greater than 80, then print, if yes, then print the good with the use of parallelogram. If no, then end the process. This is the line. Means after printing the yes, if the condition is true, then always terminate the process. If it is no, then there is no printing process, there is no printing word, only simply ends the process. I'm repeating again. First of all, start, then get the 3 grades, then calculate the average, then print the average, then take the condition, that is, if average is greater than 80, if it is yes, print the good, terminate or end the process, and if it is no, means age is less than 80, not more than 80, then the output or terminate the process. That is your end part. This is the how we can draw the flowchart or how we can write the pseudocode. Please try these examples again, because these are the basic examples or most important example question answers. So thank you so much everyone. If you have any doubts, then please text the doubts. But before that, let's take a quick review which we have covered in the today's class. We started with some basic programming concepts. First of all, gives an overview or objective, what we are supposed to perform after achieving or after going through these slides. Then we have talked about what is the programming. These are the multiple points of programming. What is the programming language? What are the languages, multiple languages? What does programming look like? This is what is now. What does programming look like? What do you write up? How do you write a program? What is the main rule for writing the program? There are 2 methods. There are so many methods. In this, there are only 2 methods. That is pseudocode and flowchart. Now, what is a pseudocode? It is nothing but a list of steps written in the English language. There is a sample pseudocode. Add the 2 numbers. Only write these into the English statements. Then, what does a flowchart look like? This is a flowchart. These are the multiple symbols which are used in flowchart. This is the example for calculating the age. These are the elements of a program: variables, commands, loops, decisions, functions. This will be discussed in detail. What is a variable? That is used for storing purpose. Always use equals to sign. These are the multiple data types. There are 2 types of variables, global and local. Then commands or syntax. Then loops, that is used for repetitive tasks. Then decisions. If else is used for taking the decisions. Then functions. These are the sub-program of the main program that is used for creating the or calculating the individual task. Then we have talked about some repetitive or repetition statements like while, do, for. This is the while, syntax, example, logic. This is the example. Then what is the, we have also talked about what is the infinite loop. This is the example for infinite loop. This is a nested loop, means loop within the loop. This is the example for nested loop. Then we have also talked about do while loop. The main difference between while and do while is that while is the entry control loop, because the condition is checked at the entry of the loop, and the do while is the exit control loop, because the condition is checked at the end of the program. Second point, second difference, that while will never execute if the condition is false, but the do while will execute at least once even if the condition is false. Then this is the logic of a do while loop. This is the do statement. This is the example. Then there is a comparison between while and do while loop. There is a for statement. This is the syntax. First one is initialization, condition, increment or decrement. This is the for loop. This is the syntax. This is the example. Then there are some hints for writing the code. Then we have also talked about what is debugging, means simply finding down the error from the program to make the program executable in a good condition. Then there are some question answers which I have discussed. What is a function, what is a variable. Next is we have also discussed one question, means writing the pseudocode and flowchart for finding the average of 3 grades, and if the average is greater than 80, means more than 80, then print the word good, otherwise terminates the loop. This is how we can print. This is the flowchart. So that's all for today's session. Now if you have any doubts, then please text the doubts, and in the next class, that is in the Monday's class, we will continue with the chapter number 2, that is your main module. Now your concepts are clear. If I will talk about some programming concepts in that chapter, so you are easily able to cope up the concepts. That's the main target of me. That's why I'm using this concept, that is programming concept. So this is very important. So that's all for today's session. Thank you very much. We will meet on Monday with chapter number 2. Okay, thank you so much everyone.